Hey guys, okay, so I'm gonna start with the story today. When I was a freshman teacher, first year, 9 years ago, I was 22 years old. My students were 18. Nothing scared me more than teaching individuals who were only 4 years younger than me. Okay, so what did I do? I relied on all the movies I had ever seen, which always told me, "Do not smile before December." And so that first week, I put on a suit, I put my power tie on, and I did not let anyone talk, even look at me in the wrong way. I walked up to them if they gave me a bad look or they went to put the phone away, and I kicked them out of the room right away. Okay. And to my amazement, after that first week, although they were quiet, issues got worse every single day after that. And about 2 weeks into it, I met with the mentor teacher and I asked him kind of advice on the situation and why it wasn't going correctly. And they told me something that I will forever remember. They said students want to be treated the same way we want to be treated, with respect. Okay. And I realized in that moment that what I had done is in my own fear of trying to kind of empower myself, I had taken advantage of students and their desire to be trusted and their responsibility. And so that kind of changed and shifted my entire teaching process since that day, 9 years later. Now, I tell you that story because of our focus today, which is the ability to reflect. Okay. I told that story when I was applying for the job at Clinton because I wanted them to realize that I was not someone who was perfect all the time. And you will never be perfect. No one can be perfect. We make mistakes. What employers want and what colleges want is to know that you can learn from your mistakes, you can change, you can adapt. Okay. And your college essay will ask that of you. And I think today's focus is a way to practice that and continue that and better empower ourselves to do better and to see how we can be reflective in our writing to show to our employers and our colleges that we are reflective individuals. So today I'm going to give you two terms. I got to get myself out of here. I'm pushing. Sorry. See you. I'm going to give you two terms that you need to know and be comfortable with by the end of today. Okay. Anytime you do any narrative writing, you're going to do some expression or explanation, and you're going to do some reflection. Most people rely heavily on this first portion. They tell the story. Okay, they tell me the who, the what, the where. They show the feelings or ideas. They tell me what occurs and to whom. They understand that aspect. You've been writing the whole story plot concept for about 10, 12 years now in education. Where they struggle, though, is where they should reflect. And if I do get reflection in college essays, it's usually typically at the bottom. They write the whole essay out. The last two lines, they reflect, this is how I changed the person, end. Okay, but there's a problem there. A, people don't read all the whole essays. Unfortunately, it's not the reality. They have a lot of essays to read. And B, it feels contrived. What I'm going to present to you and why I gave you the mentor piece that we did in class, my favorite mistake, is because I want to show you a model where you can both reflect and express or explain back and forth throughout the essay. And today we're going to kind of look at how you go about doing that. Okay. Think of it this way. Okay. So explanation or expression is the story itself. It's what you look at. It's a narrative you follow to explain the world. But the reflective element is just as important. It tells me, it kind of stands you up, tells me who you are as a person and how you've changed. It's you looking back at the story to tell me who you are as compared to who you were then, what you've learned from the situation and how you've improved. So when you're looking at writing to determine, like, is this piece of writing or this paragraph or this sentence explanatory or reflective, you're going to think first, the story, then, back then, the who, what, where, when, and why, any descriptions of feelings they were going through at that moment and dialogue during that moment. That's all expressive or explanatory writing. And you need good quality explanatory writing. But as you read, you're also going to look for moments where the person is kind of focusing on who they are now. Do they change? Do they alter perspective? Has their life changed since then? Are they providing perspective from their older self years later or days later? And that's going to demonstrate their ability to look backwards at a story. You really want to almost align those two ideas. Any good narrative piece, if you can align those two ideas, you'll have a good, strong connection between the two. So what does that look like in writing? I'll give you a quick example. These are all those Twitter memoirs that I wrote about personal experiences. Okay. And what I like about them is they're quick, easy to understand, and they show kind of different ways of thinking in terms of reflective and expressive writing. So the first one, this is about me at my first basketball practice in freshman year of high school when I turned my ankle and I quickly realized that there's injuries, and there's pain and there's injuries. And this was just a pain situation. It wasn't a full-on injury. So the situation is this: I turned an ankle, hit the ground. He, the coach, looked so unmoved, so careless. Stand up, he said. Boys don't cry. Um, this is all the moment of the situation. The coach sees me, my ankle is turned, he sees me on the ground crying, and he tells me to stand up. Okay. The thing that I want to get out of the story is a moment of reflection, though. So I said I learned quick what pain is and what pain isn't. This is years later, realizing in that moment that it was actually a really pivotal point in my life to realize that you don't have to actually cry after you feel pain. That you have a choice to not necessarily suck it up, but just to realize that some pain will go away and you can just kind of push through it, whereas other pain will not. And I'm not telling you guys to push through injuries, but it was a moment in my life that kind of made me realize that um, there's difference between pain and injury. I thought that reflective element really showed that. My next one, we were too young to be driving in the snow. We raced. My best friend and I, we both lost. My door never closed the same after he hit me. My first realized had parents. The story of this piece is me and my friends were racing, and then I didn't really want to. I was just driving. My buddy drove around me in the middle of a snowstorm, turned his car, hit me. Okay, that's the story itself. So that's the explanation portion. The reflection portion is actually couched here. It's actually, first in the beginning and the end. So that we were too young to be driving. The snow is now me looking back at the story and telling the audience that now realize with some wisdom that was the case. The end of it, my first lie to my parents, is a reflective point because I'm now looking at my life and I'm almost like speaking as an older individual looking down and saying, this is an important moment because it was my first lie to my parents. It's a reflective moment about that story. It's almost couched in between. What you'll notice here is I show you 3 different examples. One is where the reflection's in the end, one is where it's both in the beginning and the end, and one's at the front of the bit. Reflection can come anywhere. And sometimes the best writers move it around within a piece. Today, what you're going to do is try to figure out where in this piece, my favorite mistake, she uses expressive writing or explanation writing, and where she used reflective writing. Yeah, that's really it today, guys. Hopefully this is quick. Hopefully it's easy. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Okay, guys, bye.